And if I tell you I'm 100% pure, well, I am the destination. There's no place like me. I'll take your breath away, more than the usual. Experience me. Dreams for all seasons. Beautiful one day, I am perfect the next. You'll find me 1,000 miles from care. There's no place like it. No, I'm just a smile away. Live it up with me, as it once was. It's a pleasure. At last, you've arrived. A new point of view beyond words. A whole world, a whole world, a whole world, a whole world. There's only one, everything under the sun, everything. I'll give you everything under the sun. It's natural in the land that sings. It's natural in the land that sings. The happiest place on earth, the happiest place on earth. Touch your heart, touch your heart. We love having you here. We'll wonders never cease. You're perfect, you see. Experience yourself, you will find the world. Experience yourself, you will find the world. Pure, natural, unspoiled, the way life should be. Pure, natural, the way life should be. We'll leave the light on for you. We'll leave the light on for you. Welcome home. Welcome home. 100% pure. I am a destination. I'll take your breath away, more than the usual. Dreams for all seasons come here. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful one day, perfect the next. A whole world, a whole world, a whole world, a whole world.
I never used to be afraid of flying. I flew from such an early age and so often that it was as normal as driving, certainly more normal than taking a train. My family moved country every 2 years or so, all through my childhood. So very early I came to experience the international flight as a kind of erasure tube in the sky, a place where the old house, the old friends, the old school, the old country disappeared into a vacuum, effaced in midair as efficiently as an overflooded river disappears its banks. We got in at one end, and the world behind us evaporated in a fog of history, our personal memory banks unable to contain more than one home, one whole life of human connections at a time. This was before the internet, when snail mail was the only option to remain in contact, and the snail simply never left our new house for the old territories. It mildly curled up in our new abode and forgot about the 2 years or so of life left behind. So perhaps I'm predisposed to suspecting a particular malice in the infrastructure of an airplane, its wings the harbingers of a new doom in a new place, its smiling false ladies with their neat outfits, just another example of the international corporate culture that was my primary ambiance growing up. You see, my father worked for a huge multinational corporation, American of course, one of the top companies in the world, and in its wake our small family was barely flotsam, barely acknowledged in the successful ladder climbing that was vital to my father's corporate survival. It's a great adventure, our parents intoned. You'll make new friends, better ones. You'll have bigger experiences, my darlings. We bought it as we bought new houses, new furniture, new clothes, and learned new languages. But we never stayed long enough to feel real. Our facsimile life was as deep as we knew, but we did not know the joy of the banal, the comfortable recognition of our peers, the everyday happiness of everything always being the same. Everything changed so often, from friends to schools to homes and landscapes, that the elusive sense of object permanence that is so important in child development simply never developed for us. Psychologists say that the stage when children start to realize that objects and people still exist even when you can't see them is vital for the child's sense of stability and self. Each flight we took only emphasized our inner alienation, our sense of loss beyond our ability to express it. If a child's greatest wish is everything always the same forever, our reality was nothing the same or familiar ever, always changing, always different, always new. So, airplanes, they were more than a vehicle of change, the glamour lost on us already. They were these strange white angels of lost memory, these ghosts of dislocation. As soon as we stepped through the rounded doors, our new lives began. Our old lives did not die, they simply ceased to be, as if they had never been. Perhaps there is something of that allure for all travelers, the illusion of finding something somewhere else that is more than where you are, the feeling that simply by a speedy dislocation of environment, we, chameleon-like, become who we wish we were, or who we are not, when tied by the routine and drudgery of everyday life. We are suddenly free of who we think we are, and in seeing new things, new people, new places, are made new again.
Tourists are the aristocrats of the New World Order. They are pampered and protected wherever they go. They are treated with deference and never corrected. Tourist companies do their best to provide what the tourists expect, rather than educating tourists to expect what the country can reasonably provide. Nearly all the money you lay down for a package holiday finds its way into the hands of the dispossessors, who use it to eradicate yet more coastal villages and drive their inhabitants into the slums.
Spain, I heard English tourists haranguing the Spanish waiters. "Bloody foreigners," they shouted, blissfully, utterly, blindly unaware of the madness of saying that in a foreign place where they were the interlopers. And yet they clearly felt liberated of all their usual British restraint, fucking in the streets, breathing in intoxicating fumes and substances till they passed out on the side of the highways, puking in gutters and whirling wildly, with exaggerated joy under skies filled with scatterings of stars that they could have seen back in England, given a little effort to escape the slow burn of the city lights. Their release was palpable, free from the wage slavery of modern city life. These tourists never thought of themselves as tourists. They scoffed at other tourists. They scorned the fat Americans as the fat Americans scorned the uptight Germans, and the Germans scorned the jabbering Japanese. Whoever thinks of themselves as a tourist, certainly not me, certainly not you. We know people who have one of their many homes in Paris, where they laugh at the dumb tourists, though they themselves are overweight Americans, red in the face from years of excess, who wear tight black lycra cycling shorts with American flag sweatshirts to ride from cafe to museum. Ha ha, not they. They are not tourists. And I remember traveling in Kenya, where my cool expatriate sister lived, or Thailand, both places her home for several years with her husband and children. She worked as an international journalist, learned to speak some Thai and some Swahili, covered war zones and disasters, and brought home not a single African friend, not a single Thai connection, other than an overworked, underpaid Thai nanny who used to live in a concrete cell with no windows in their yard in Bangkok. Why do I care? Why does this disturb me? I'm no better, though now I at least admit to being a tourist, even in the countries I've lived in my life. England, France, America, Spain, Scotland, Belgium, New Zealand, Norway, Bosnia, Croatia, not to mention the countries I visited en route. So many places, from five-star hotels and resorts with my parents in the Bahamas, Barbados, Vietnam, Cambodia, Mexico, Africa, wherever our restlessness, our unequal wealth took us, voracious for new experience, new tastes and new frames for our jaded perceptions, made blasé by our international lives. I stayed in five-star magnificence as easily as I slept naked under the stars. I traveled to war zones, or lived like a backpacker, sleeping on the floors of trains and building sites. I remember with shame now that I paid tiny pittances to enter the homes of poor Africans, to gawp at their hovels and retch quietly at the smell. I met other travelers, posh and poor, and other tourists who would not call themselves tourists, as well as real people from those real places, somehow more real than our wealthy white Western lives. Perhaps more than a person who has always lived in one place, I never felt alien or different, even when I blatantly was. I carried with me a beatific connectedness, what I now see as an arrogant assumption of world citizenry, unearned, as I had merely inherited the economic freedom and a sense of entitlement that allowed me to graze on other cultures, bringing home the nicks and knacks of stolen symbols of other people's meanings, the Buddha heads, the imitation Chinese warriors, the door from Morocco, the table from India, the material from South America.
What gives value to travel is fear. It is the fact that at a certain moment, when we are so far from our own country, we are seized by a vague fear, and this instinctive desire to go back to the protection of old habits. This is the most obvious benefit of travel. At that moment, we are feverish but also porous, so that the slightest touch makes us quiver to the depths of our being. This is why we should not say that we travel for pleasure. There is no pleasure in travelling, and I look upon it as an occasion for spiritual testing. Pleasure takes us away from ourselves the same way that distraction takes us away from God. Travel, which is like a grave and greater science, brings us back to ourselves.
Do it, do it, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Do it, do it, do it. For me. I'll pay you something just to see. You who are nothing, I like to see you move. Show me what you got, I'll take it all from you. I like to eat, I like to eat, I like to eat you. Do it, do it, do it. For me.
There is no cultural exchange. The tourists get a parody of a culture
just to
they
see.
don't even want to understand. The
You
locals, if
who
they're
are
lucky,
nothing,
get a handful
I
of
like
loose
to see
change.
you move.
And the
Show
walls
me
between
what you
ourselves
got,
and other people
I'll take it all from you.
rise with every encounter. The
I
walls
like
between
to
ourselves
eat,
and other people
I like to eat, I
rise
like
with
to
every
eat
encounter.
you.
And the walls between ourselves and other people rise with every encounter. There is no cultural exchange. The tourists get a parody of a culture they don't even want to understand.
Do it, do it, do it. For
The
me,
locals, if they're lucky, get a handful of loose change.
I'll pay you something just to see.
And the walls between ourselves and other people
You
rise
who are
with every
nothing,
encounter.
I like to see you
And the walls
move.
between ourselves and other people
Show me
rise
what
with
you
every
got,
encounter.
I'll take it all from you. I like to eat, I like to eat, I like to eat you. Do it, do it, do it. For me. Do it, do it, do it. Do it, do it, do it. For me. I'll pay you something just to see. You who are nothing, I like to see you move. Show me what you got, I'll take it all from you. I like to eat, I like to eat, I like to eat you.
I thought I loved meeting people. I thought I loved traveling. All the excitement of discovery and that strange steeping in different aromas and colors and sounds that is so often borrowed in advertisements for seemingly maverick destinations. I thought it was glamorous. I was alive in a world of possibilities where the wake of my passing was never considered, never even part of my awareness. War zones are perhaps the last frontiers for the traveler, inaccessible and dangerous, not the usual haunt for tourists or explorers. They are frontiers in a way that is not possible anywhere else in the world now, steeped as it is in a corporate homogeneity that has maimed authentic national culture as surely as a sniper hits his target. So it somehow seemed inevitable that my sister and I would end up in such places, Having framed and reframed the world so many times as children, it seemed a logical step. She went to Rwanda, Somalia, other warring African nations, while I went to Croatia and Bosnia during the war there. For both of us, it was the first time that things were genuinely different, properly exotic, jarring to our sense of ourselves and our perception of the world. We'd seen so much, been to so many places, spent our lives constantly experiencing the new, that it took the deep jolt of war to awaken us from our international kid slumber. I wonder, did we experience a deeper encounter with these humans, far from the hippie trails and resort hotels? It seemed so at the time. But did we retain our friendships, maintain any real links to those places? Is that the only differential between tourism and travel, the test being whether real friendships swelled up, or whether genuine connections were made with the local people and culture, not just a photo with colored hotel staff as proof of alien contact? Well, I do still have some profound ties to people there, though I have not visited Sarajevo since the first Japanese tourists and interrailers turned up not too long after the muddy end of that war. And my sister is still bound up with her international journalist friends, who have several passports each as they fly so often. The stamps fill them up like leaves in a pile. But perhaps, too, we are simply bound by trauma, by disassociation from the mainstream of people who come from one place, one country, one life. It was in Bosnia that I started to get scared of flying, though I never managed to get onto the army planes that skydived into Sarajevo to avoid sniper fire. I learned to drive a car finally, and did my first drives in an armored vehicle in Sarajevo, almost shitting myself with fear, always pretending that my personal search for meaning was not the only reason I was risking my life, driving through the scorched, pockmarked landscape, heart clenched. I did take airplanes home from Croatia, though, the passengers an eclectic bunch of soldiers, UN workers, journalists, and the strange pilgrims on their way to Medjugorje, driving through a war zone to pray at the feet of some Catholic miracle in the area. They sang holy songs on the flight, scaring me to pieces, as I'd seen one too many disaster movies with singing nuns as the flights went down. Once two kind pilgrims, sensing my febrile state of terror, held my hands the whole flight to London, saying little, giving each other significant looks over my chattering teeth and woozy head. Another time, drunk beyond reason, back when I still drank and didn't know that every drink on an airplane is worth 3 or 4 on the ground due to the compression and altitude, I saw the actress Vanessa Redgrave sitting in the row behind me, and, much as in some very poor sitcoms, accosted her boozily, telling her she looked just like my mum, which she does, and is a compliment if you know my mother, who's beautiful, more beautiful than her actually, but she didn't know that and probably balked at the comparison. I doubt too that she appreciated my slurring idiocy, while I was surprised at her presence in a war zone. She was the first of many celebrities to descend upon the former Yugoslavia, and many wars since, their presence like a lighthouse on a dark shoreline. They both warned of impending disaster and seduced with their siren calls. Did they make the war seem real to the people back home, hunched around the blue glow of the television sets? Or did they make it even more like a movie, more inaccessible than ever? More like a movie, more inaccessible than ever. As usual, there were no clear answers, only the low drone of the planes and the smell of brake fluid on our breath. So, taking a plane to a war zone is a peak experience, making first class seem tame and unappealing in comparison. First class, of course, is the apex of our consumer society, the extraordinary luxury only relative to the horrors of the bucket seats in the back. We willingly strap ourselves into oblivion, our souls at the ready, all for the promise of escape.
Tourism is, wherever it occurs, an extractive industry. It extracts the differences between our land and culture and those of the nations we visit, until they scarcely exist. Remote and romantic beaches become mundane resorts. Remote and remarkable people tailor their culture to suit those who pay for it, until, in the words of a Maasai man, we have ceased to be what we are becoming what we seem. The exotic, of course, is illusory. As we approach it, it disappears. Tourism, therefore, will never be sated, even when it has penetrated the remotest parts of the world.
As sure as the apple drops from the tree, life has taken you away from me. Like an arrow from a bow, I had to release you, let you go, set you free. But life was so sweet with you. I feel incomplete without you. So you sent me a message, somehow I could hear. You said, do you not know that I am near? Don't mourn me, do not fear. I'll wait forever till you get here. I'll meet you on the road to heaven. I'll meet you on the road to heaven. Sure as our love was true, I'm always close, don't you know? I'm inside you, like a doll within a doll. What you think you know is not all. I'm still close to you. It's so thin, the wall between the worlds spin. Still we feel our love crosses the universe. It heals the wounds, it heals the hurt. So you realize I'll be waiting on the other side. So live your beauty, live your life, and I'll meet you on the road to heaven. I'll meet you on the road to heaven. I'll meet you on the road
Modernity first appears to everyone, as it did to Levi Strauss, as disorganized fragments, alienating, wasteful, violent, superficial, unplanned, unstable, and inauthentic. On second examination, however, this appearance seems almost a mask, for beneath the disorderly exterior, modern society hides a firm resolve to establish itself on a worldwide base. Modern values are transcending the old divisions between communist East and the capitalist West, and between developed and third worlds. The progress of modernity, modernization, depends on its very sense of instability and inauthenticity. For moderns, reality and authenticity are thought to be elsewhere. In other historical periods and other cultures, in purer, simpler lifestyles. In other words, the concerns of moderns for naturalness, their nostalgia and their search for authenticity, are not merely casual and somewhat decadent, though harmless attachments to the souvenirs of destroyed cultures and dead epics. They are also components of the conquering spirit of modernity, the grounds of its unifying consciousness.
But escape from what? Why are we traveling such vast distances so fast? Why are we always in motion, seeking the next greatest untouched place on earth? Are we running away or running to, I wonder? I wonder how it is that now that my husband and little girl and I have finally stopped, decided on a country, forced ourselves to stay, how is it that we are so insanely happy? Our memory banks are starting to fill up. We're becoming people whose names are known by all sorts when we walk down the street. We feel lighter, wider, brighter, spinnier, more joyous. We are the opposite of the great dream, the dream of the eternal traveler whose thirst for the new breaks down the doors of all virgin territories. Sometimes I think we are happier simply because this country, this particular country, seems to have so much more light in its skies. The whole country breathes deeply where others hyperventilate. And yet, maybe we're happier because we stopped. We got off the international merry-go-round, the treating of the whole world as a giant bus route, with stops here and there and nowhere. Maybe this is how it feels to be a tree, with roots growing under concrete, under rivers, under skies. What is this huge, pointless restlessness that humans take for granted and glorify? The need to conquer other lands, steal their people, their goods, their borders, even their water. What if we white people had traveled respectfully, honoring all we met, taking nothing, giving without conditions, without barter or false trade? What if we had explored for the joy of discovery and communion, connection more important than booty, recognition with our fellow earth creatures, the joyful aim of our insane courage in covering such distances? We like to praise the early settlers and travelers, the explorers of other times, sentimentalizing their journeys, awesome as they were, and seeing the brave souls and not the greedy, the free spirits and not the displaced, dislocated, alienated, poor and desperate masses who were thrust off their own lands and homes because they could not afford to stay. Some persecuted, some criminal for myriad reasons, some utopians like ourselves, always hoping to find a better world, instead of squatting indecently in the eyes of the overlords who boxed them onto the cargo ships, the merchant vessels, the floating prisons. We are runners too, my husband and I, so quick to move on, so quick to panically packing our bags and child up, and just jumping ship, swimming through whatever it takes to find that perfect place, which of course we really have found now, after so much searching. Who are we to judge, to condemn the plane loads, the boat wrecks of billions of travelers worldwide, on the Lonely Planet Trail, on the uniform 5-star experience, on the safari, on the eco tour, the eco holidays now masquerading as kindness instead of acquisition. We are photographed in every possible location, in front of the Eiffel Tower, the temples in Angkor Wat, the monument to the Twin Towers, the Taj Mahal, the pyramids. Everywhere we go, our little devices come out, freeze from us in an eternal moment, a moment that will last longer than our lives. And we move on, the list never complete. Even the spiritual travelers take their photos. Here's a picture of me at Machu Picchu with my pendulum and my crystals. Here I am praying in Thailand. Here I am drunk in a bar with the other Reiki healers. And yet, is this all the fault of airplanes? Those humble metal contraptions, the combined issue of millennia of dream after dream of flight, always flight, the human bird, the wings strapped on, the chaplain falls straight down, the dreams propelling us ever upward, always seeking our promised dominion of all dimensions of the earth.
Habit arises when our sense of time falls asleep, or at least grows dull. And if the years of youth are experienced slowly, while the later years of life hurtle past at an ever-increasing speed, it must be habit that causes it. We know full well that the insertion of new habits or the changing of old ones is the only way to preserve life, to renew our sense of time, to rejuvenate, intensify and retard our experience of time, and thereby renew our sense of life itself. That is the reason for every change of scenery and air, for a trip to the shore, the experience of a variety of refreshing episodes. The first few days in a new place have a youthful swing to them, a kind of sturdy, long stride that lasts for about 6 to 8 days. Then, to the extent we settle in, the gradual shortening becomes noticeable. Whoever clings to life, or better, wants to cling to life, may realize to his horror that the days have begun to grow light again, and are scurrying past. And the last week of, let us say, 4, is uncanny in its fleeting transience. To be sure, this refreshment of our sense of time extends beyond the interlude. Its effect is noticeable again when we return to our daily routine. The first few days at home after a change of scene are likewise experienced in a new, broad, more youthful fashion, but only a very few, for we are quicker to grow accustomed to the old rules than to their abrogation. And if our sense of time has grown weary with age, or was never all that strongly developed, a sign of an inborn lack of vitality, it very soon falls asleep again. And within 24 hours, it is as if we were never gone, and our journey were merely last night's dream.
Is it the fault of the airplane that the Samburu people I saw dancing and singing in Kenya only wore their tribal gear for us, the fat whiteys on safari, looking for authenticity? They changed into their Western charity clothes after the performance and went back to their ordinary lives in front of the television, the only possession in the whole village sometimes, but loved by all, watched avidly by all, sucked into their savage souls to make them tame or civilized or erased or inspired. Pick your adjective. There may never be one that is fair, but those come closer than we can bear sometimes. I marveled at the harmonies in their music. I couldn't ascertain who sang what and how at times. I, a proper musician, had a peak experience at the expense of their culture. Their culture that once meant something, now reduced to the rubble of repetitive performances for intrepid, rich white people hungry for new cultural food. never realizing that with every bite, with the very act of viewing, of commissioning, they doomed these now self-conscious peoples to a cultural dispossession that was deeper than a salt mine. When I sing for joy, I sing for joy. When I am paid to sing for joy, at the same time every day, and dress up in my finest to do so in front of people who cannot see me, only a cipher for their own miscomprehension and illusions, what happens to my joy? What happens to my pure experience of beauty and self-expression when I must watch in an ugly mirror for the signs of my own emotion? On holiday in Scotland, we saw the same virulence at work. The tartan carpets on pub floors, tartan curtains, tartan kilts on those who only wore them as McDonald's employees wear their little golden arched uniforms. The wild shindig Scottish shanty music piped endlessly in the tourist tat shops along the Royal Mile, in bars and restaurants. When did the Scots, such a stubborn little people, realize that someone else's enjoyment of their culture was more lucrative and meaningful than their own? What are the roots of this terrible modern sickness, this addiction to the hollow spectacle of meaning, the degradation of legitimate cultural artifacts and rituals into performances, self-objectified, self-conscious, manipulative reenactments of events that once meant something, meant the world actually to our grandparents and theirs before them. These rituals meant something, were once physical forms and symbols of deeper things, emblems of love or structure or meaning. Did television kill the world first, or was it the first commercial airline, the converted ex-military plane with nurses for stewardesses, packed to the brim with nervous Westerners, people who'd earned their wealth through hard work, initiative, and vast theft. Vast oppression of other people, all gussied up in tarts glad rags, the tatters of democracy worn like the emperor's new clothes. Who were those first international jet-setters, we wonder, sadly aware that our parents were among the first to become part of this international elite, and we the children of these elite, in permanent rebellion, in permanent dissent with their lives, yet loving them nonetheless. How do you love and yet disown, disagree, dislocate from such madness? We never know where they are. Are they in their Paris apartment? Are they in London? Are they in Alaska this time? Or is it India on the jet tour? Is it Africa on safari? Florida visiting friends? Or are they on their way out here, to the middle of nowhere where we choose to live, after much consideration of the safest, most beautiful place on this crazy earth? They stay in 5-star hotels, all the same, all gorgeous, all glamorous, all stealing water and resources from local people, pretending to give it back in the guise of poor, appallingly poor wages. A slavery so carefully hidden that my mother always exclaims at how happy the poor people are, how poverty does not close down the human heart, all the while holding tight to her own handbag wherever she goes.
Self-contempt and a sense of fraudulence distinguish the attitude of contemporary self-conscious travellers. There is a touching desperation in the attempts of professional tourists, well-funded anthropologists and recording travellers to distinguish themselves from the travelling masses and run-of-the-mill adventurers. The most characteristic mark of the tourist is the wish to avoid tourists and the places they congregate. But this is merely evidence of the fact that travel is no longer a means of achieving distinction. It is a way of achieving and realizing a norm, the common identity we all share, the identity of the stranger.
How shall I withhold my soul so that it does not touch on yours? How shall I uplift it over you to other things? Willingly would I be some lost thing in the dark, give it harbor in an unfamiliar silent place. It does not vibrate on when your depths vibrate. Yet everything that touches us, you and me, takes us together as a bowstroke does, that out of two strings draws a singing of voices. Upon what instrument are we to spend? And what player has us in his hand? Oh, sweet song, oh, sweet song, sweet song.
Mourning of a paradise lost, combined with the belief that they alone have experienced the true essence of a destination, is still a common motive among tourists today, but particularly among backpackers. These predominantly young travelers, often armed with little more than flip-flops and rolling tobacco, are in many ways modern-day grand tourists. A privileged generation undergoing a rite of passage between the irresponsibilities of childhood and all the leading accoutrements of adulthood: jobs, mortgages, and kids. Time away from the suppressive shackles of the West can enable them to muse on their future life through the prism of other cultures, to find themselves, to broaden their minds. Their meditative quest is helped if they experience hardship and edgy adventure, relative to the home lives, of course, such as epic bus journeys, bouts of tropical illness, and near misses with danger or crime. This is the script anyway, but is their pursuit of the real, the authentic, and the otherly really an existential excursion into the heart of darkness from which they will emerge enlightened and world-wise? Or is it just a journey through a series of guidebook-determined places that have been shaped and developed to reflect their own desires, and now offer little more than convenient cover for one long party under the sun, where the natives provide the beer, the cheap beds, and most importantly, the excuse?
We are no better, hypocrites with our huge villa in the heart of this glorious town, packed with international antiques and art, our hyper-educations, our broad perspectives, our multiple languages and abilities, all earned in the belly of this corporate beast we would now slay, or at least rewire, so that its DNA would include morality, ethics, responsibility, human choices as opposed to profit earnings. Who is responsible, we ask ourselves, unwilling and unable to give it all up, unbearable to really examine, to really understand. Our fathers worked for these huge corporations whose footprints scar the earth, in fact are booting the earth quickly into oblivion. Our lives are the fruit of their labor, and we are seemingly unable to know where to stand in this vast grey area which is our moral arena. We know these captains of industry very well, with all their power and flaws, their blind obedience to the god of capitalism and free markets, the markets of oblivion for anyone outside of the coterie of international industrialists whose mitts are full of other people's money. Whose mitts are full of other people's money. Money is love, my father once said, and made a beautiful argument for it. If you work at what you love, then the money is a transmutation of that love, an alchemist's cauldron of intention, execution, and desire. And that is a divine thing, he argued. The if being so much the operative factor that it was taken as given. No awareness being there of the billions of people sifting through the daily garbage of a life of subsistence, not working at what they love, working at what they hate, what kills them. Where does their love come into the comfortable equation? Where does their love come into the comfortable equation? Do we withdraw from the world, give away what we have, become like Gandhi, who said that only a life without possession, without the illusion of land ownership, only that life willingly undertaken by the masses would bring freedom? Do we join the ranks of the poor and meek, hoping that Jesus wasn't a con man, leading the immense ranks of the poor to an eternal acceptance of dramatic inequality, wrenching lives of despair, horror and degradation, humiliation and suffering, being the gateway to heaven, apparently? Or as Buddha would have it, should we spend our lives unpicking the monkey mind and unplugging from the matrix? Should we follow Islam or Judaism or any one of the myriad other roads to a heaven promised but unknown? Do we seek out one of the array of Hindu gods to worship, grab any superstitious ritual to stave off fear and despair, fall into any of the hundreds of indigenous religions with a spoon and suck them up like Ben and Jerry's or hot yoga for cool chicks?
Mass tourism is the human equivalent of a discount warehouse, operating on the pile 'em high, sell 'em cheap principle. It's an industry dealing in human interactions and experiences which lacks any idea of what should inform these. It's also a leading protagonist of the globalization which is eradicating all the uniqueness and beauty upon which tourism itself thrives. A classic example, in other words, of an industry devouring its own resources.
Desperately seeking meaning, we fall into the God-shaped hole we call reality. The advertisements for other places speak to us of the possibility of connection, of empathy, of authentic life somewhere on this planet. And there's an uncanny link between the voice of God and advertising now. The beckoning of the travel advertisement, both seduction and command, an order from an objective, unauthored voice in the wilderness. The good life. Be there now. You deserve it. We're all connected. We're all connected. Who's speaking to us? What do our minds and souls make of these hot babes of delight just waiting in Singapore for us? The hostess of the air, smiling her invitation to join her. The clear implication of the docile Asian stewardess, trained in happy endings. The tiny hands offering us more than we dare dream of. Our fathers would say that globalization, that oh so hotly contested word, is the spearhead of trickle-down economics, that eventually everyone will be wealthy and free, that they will not hate us because we are free once they are, and we argue with them fruitlessly, speaking of the tiny huts we saw in Vietnam, with no furniture, no beds even, but one crackling old black and white TV, and 20 people crammed in to watch all reruns of Dallas and Dynasty, with the promise of a consumer utopia which has imprisoned even the supposed free. Our friends, the two librarians in America, write to us of how trapped they are economically, how shit their lives are, how their books are slowly flying off the shelves to safer places, places where impressionable, free people cannot access them, perhaps be inspired to rebellion, to honest revolt against the slave system masquerading as freedom. The people in the hut in Vietnam know nothing of their bookish despair, their sadness in the stacks, their just being able to pay their bills and watch a bit of TV lives. And the American dreamers, trapped in their faulty belief systems, feel angry at the Chinese masses, poor as they are, for polluting the environment to make them their disposable tat, their plastic crap. Our daughter's grandparents buy her cheap plastic toys that are made in China to the detriment of the whole world, wrapped in yet more plastic and paper in America, there depriving Americans of jobs, then sent to New Zealand where we live now, in our futile attempt to escape the world.
Neither its rhetoric or even the informational aspect of its discourse has a decisive effect on the buyer. What the individual does respond to, on the other hand, is advertising underlying leitmotif of protection and gratification. The intimation that the solicitations and attempts to persuade are the sign, indecipherable at the conscious level, that somewhere there is an agency, a social agency in the event, but one that refers directly to the image of the mother, which has taken upon itself to inform him of his own desires, and to foresee and rationalize these desires to his own satisfaction. He thus no more believes in advertising than a child believes in Father Christmas. But this in no way impeded his capacity to embrace an internalized, infantile situation and to act accordingly. Herein lies the very real effectiveness of advertising, founded on its obedience to a logic which, though not that of the conditioned reflex, is nonetheless very rigorous, a logic of belief and regression.
The attempt to construct an eco-tourist alternative to mass tourism does at least signify a perception that the industry has gone seriously wrong, and the more one considers how and why this has happened, the more the paradoxes abound. The first is that tourism was, and still is, seen by many as a clean path to development, an industry without factories and fumes and the consumption of finite resources. The reality is that it has proved a terrible destroyer of landscapes, either through development or through the fundamental strains that westernized appetites impose on fragile economies and ecosystems. The second paradox is that, while repeatedly marketed as of all-inclusive benefit to the economy, the financial gains of tourism are highly unevenly distributed. In practice, most of the money it makes ends up in the hands of local or international elites, hotel owners, package tour operators and airlines. And although tourism may create jobs, the biases and distortions involved in the process means that these displace and often replace jobs, or rather livelihoods, based around agriculture or fishing. What happens, classically, is the expropriation of native lands for national parks or five-star tourist complexes, and there are many variants of this process. The net result is that people who were once able to make a reasonably independent living off the land find themselves wage earners in a global economy run from the other side of the world. They have become, in a word, disempowered. One twitch in Wall Street, one tiny downturn in the US economy, and they're out of work, with nothing in the way of skills or land to fall back on.
So, Airplanes, no, we do not forgive you for raping the skies, for being the vehicle for horrors both military and civilian, for your illusory seduction, sucking us into your wake. We breathe in the fumes and get high. Out of military development, airplanes flew off like flies from maggots and rotting meat. And we are carrying the karma of a whole world of oppression, a whole world of misguided beliefs, all geared to getting more, being more, having more, always, forever, always at the expense of someone else. We ask you, world, divine trees and mystical animals, skies no longer virgin to the human hand, the ropes of chemtrails and contrails binding your thighs open eternally. We ask you, small creatures and great, we beg you, dear seas, luscious rains and ticklish winds, wild storms and all of nature that still stands immortal in our sights, please forgive us, because we know what we do. Forgive us and throw us off. We are the sick parasites on your skin, and our arrogance is vast. We sing songs to our own greatness while digging into your immense skin with our attack shovels. We marvel at our technological prowess while we dump chemicals into your bloodstream. We shout at the injustice, the arbitrary punishments of your quakes and hurricanes, while we blow chemicals into your blue spheres and green waves, and shout with rage that the ground sometimes slips, and the rivers overflow, and the birds and animals disappear, while we define insanity with our constant repetition of the same behavior, always producing the same results, never somehow expecting it. Where have our memories gone? How did we get so lost in this man-made fog of lies and meaningless behavior? How did we become so superficial, so lost in the surface that the depths will surely drown us, as surely as we shit deep into the dark holes we've dug to hide them? As the planes crisscross the globe faster and faster, disgorging the rapacious species Homo turistus, will we churn ourselves into butter, like the tiger around the tree in the fable? Where will it all end, as it must, resources being scarcer and scarcer, and souls being sadder and sadder? We're sorry because we're part of it all. We were born into mastery, and because we're happy. Of course we are. We have so much material wealth relative to the rest of the world, so much personal happiness, because we have great love and security, and we have this huge, broad crucifix of awareness from our international childhoods. We can only see the big picture. We're grateful and guilty and grateful. Thoreau said, "Thank God man cannot as yet fly, or he would lay waste the sky as he's done the earth." In our paradise found, we agree with him, with deep wishes for a slow world, where the journey is the destination not taken, and people are always happy now where they are, not like us, always searching, restless genetics stirring us up as our roots take hold. What is it about us, we human animals with aspirations of grandeur, that allows us to create systems that enable good people to do bad things? Why is it so hard for us to own our own creation of this sad state of affairs in a world gone mad and sad? Tourism is the wrong word for what it is. It is cultural conquest. We are human bombs, leaving craters of misery wherever we alight. Traveling has been killed by capitalism. The commercialization and homogenization and selling of experience have murdered all possibility of discovery, of divine connection with the world and its many peoples. So, this is our truth. It is a personal truth in a strange universe. We regret the way the world is. Helpless as we are, we pray to a sky full of stars that gives us no answers. We have one small remedy. It works for us. Be still, be still. Be the still point in a turning world. Turn the glowing devices off. Kiss the earth, grow your own food. Step off the runways, the landing patterns, the lost baggage of air travel, and explore your closest universe, your neighbors, your country, your backyard. There's a whole world waiting in your own eye. Read quiet words and turn the sound down. Slow down, slow down. Love the world, love your life, love your family. Love every person on this earth, because they too are your family. Love the air, the sky, the seas, the trees, the animals, and the real. That's it. It's not much, is it?
That these fantasies are harmless, that local myths simply provide a bit of fun for the tourists and a bit of money for the hosts. But it's the exoticization of the other, the apprehension that the rest of the world conforms to different laws, that surely lies at the root of our age-old failure to understand the impacts, economic, political, and ecological, that our activities exert upon other places. The more we extol the exotic and deny the real, the more we breed reptiles in the mind.
It's a little-known fact that commercial aviation as we know it evolved directly out of military flight, with a huge allocation of war budgets to develop bombers and long-range missile delivery. Without the massive investment in this area, tourism and aviation would not exist. The very first airplanes used for commercial touring were actually refurbished military bombers. Modern tourism is the hybrid child of this alliance between military and commercial interests, and as such reflects our world in its detachment from causal chains and personal responsibility. Tourism is a dark flower, growing from the scorched and bloody soil of war and conquest. The roots feed the stem with poison, and the poison seeps into the ground of our everyday lives. The question is, are we responsible for our relationship to the dark machine of death that picks us up and disgorges us like human bombs on a virgin landscape? Who is accountable for the craters of hell we leave behind us, filled with charred limbs or scattered, displaced peoples? The tumours of disgust rising in concrete battalions on every seafront, every perfect beach disemboweled in an ecstasy of destruction disguised as development. Everywhere we go, you and I, we leave a wake of suffering to which we give not even a second glance. The land and resources and integrity of culture after culture, eradicated by the casual pain of people stolen from their meaning.
Of course, we're surrounded by images. Like flocks of birds, they scatter as we approach. But we feel their flight in us. Somehow, all these images, they're in us. Once upon a time, people's ideas and stories and myths and legends and dreams were in words and books and paintings, all easy to carry and easy to put down. There was the real world, and then there was our response to it, the lover's joy, the philosopher's despair, the alienation never quite complete. We were still in the world. We were still in the world. And now we are stuffed to the brim with images and meanings, and myths and stories and dreams and joys and horrors. But they are not our own. We turn on the screen and we're transported. Out of ourselves, our souls fly off, our bodies left behind in the blue light. Our sadness is huge. We don't even know it. The more time we spend with heavily spun webs of unconscious dreaming, the harder it is to wake. We call ourselves artists, but maybe we are just the last humans not watching. We don't have a television. We don't climb into the sky tube anymore. We still dream of a better world. A world where love transcends borders, not financial markets or adverts and products. What else can we work with? Our minds are not our own, filled to the brim as they are with projections of the ad man's dream and concocted sexual falsities. You're hungry, aren't you? He says. You are, it's true. Eat, dear one. Eat the world before it eats you. Once our stories were our own, could not be sold or bought, formed our backbone, structured what could not be held in feelings without great suffering. We needed the stories to save us. Who will save us now? So we take back the stolen thoughts and feelings, the regurgitated myths, and we make a meal of them. We sit long at the table and we feel deep, deep oceans welling up. We hold the golden mirror to your faces in the blue lights, and we hope it cracks, that we fall through, all of us, to the other side, where the garden still grows, and it's not too late to plant.